Hey everyone, it's Annabelle from Dollbelly Knits with another knitting tutorial video. I'm here on my new kitchen countertop in the great state of North Carolina, and I think it's so pretty. In this video you will see a pair of socks I made for my youngest's birthday back in December. When I recorded the video, I didn't talk because I just wanted to take advantage of the fact that I was knitting a pair of socks and I'd be able to show the major transitions in sock construction and how I make them toe up 2 at a time using only 2 short 9-inch circular needles. So yes, this is me doing a voiceover after the fact. A pair of socks for an adult will typically take between 75 and 100 grams of yarn, and most sock yarns are sold in 100 gram skeins. So when I make a pair of socks, I take my 100 grams and I wind it up into 2 50-gram balls, one for each sock. I actually use a food scale to weigh them and make sure that they're as even as I can get them. Here I'm using a skein of hand-dyed yarn from Dye Candy Yarn. Lindsay is an independent dyer living and working in North Ireland. I've made socks in a few of her colors now, and I really like her yarn. I will put a link in the description box below to her store. This is her sock with nylon base in the colorway Chupacabra. I've been knitting socks for, 20 years now, and through trial and error I've come to favor making socks 2 at a time, toe up, and using the 2 short 9-inch circular needles. I'm using 2.5 millimeter needles or US 1.5. I've also seen them listed as US size 1 as well. So one needle is a Knit Pro and the other is a Haya Haya, and I will also put links in the description box below for each. Both have their advantages. Specifically, the Knit Pro points are rounded or more dull, and the Haya Haya are pointy, so you might choose to use one or the other based on the type of yarn you are working with. Okay, so in this video I'm going to cover how I cast on for the 2 at a time toe up socks. Almost everything in knitting and crocheting starts with a slip stitch, and this is how I make mine. I take my ball of yarn and place the end of the string over my index and middle finger. I then wrap the yarn over and under my fingers, creating an X. Then I continue to wrap over again and tuck the yarn under itself between my 2 fingers. I hold on to the yarn and I gently pull my fingers out and pull on the tail of the yarn. I'll be repeating this again with the second ball, so you'll get to see this process again. When you're done, place the slip stitch on the left side of one needle. Then place the second needle on top. What I'm doing is called a Turkish cast on, and I will also put a link to another video that shows this technique. We'll be using one needle to knit with while the other holds stitches for us until we are ready to use them. Holding the 2 needles together, I wrap backwards or under and over for half of the required amount of stitches for my sock. So if you're making like a 64 stitch sock, you would wrap under and over 32 times. When I have all the stitches that I need, I secure the yarn between the 2 needles and repeat the process with the second ball. I simply scoot the stitches I have just made far enough to the right as I need to fit a second sock's worth of stitches on the needles. The reason I wrap under and over or backwards is that I found that it gives me a line on the toe area, just like you would find on a commercially made sock. If you want to take a look at that, you can pop on over to my video Across the Finish Line that has the Speed Racer blanket featured in it, but also there's a pair of socks that I made for my middle child's birthday where I show off the line at the toe. Okay, so after I have all the stitches that I need on the needle, I turn the work and I get ready to knit. But first I have to remove the yarn that I secured between the needles and make sure that this gets wrapped under the bottom needle before beginning to knit. If you forget to do this, you will be one stitch short. To begin knitting, pull the bottom needle through so that the wrap stitches are hanging on the middle cord section of the circular needle. This bottom needle is just going to hang while we knit, keeping those stitches secure until we are ready to use them. Again, remember to wrap the yarn underneath the bottom needle before knitting, and we are just going to start knitting across our stitches with the top needle. It's a bit fiddly and slow, but this is because of the way we wrap the stitches and the line that it will give us. If you find this too difficult or frustrating, I would recommend starting over and wrapping the yarn forward or over and under. When you are done with the stitches for sock 1, just drop your yarn in the back and move on to sock 2. But don't forget to wrap that yarn under the bottom needle before you begin to knit, or you'll be short a stitch, which isn't the end of the world and can be fudged at a later time. Okay, if you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you sticking around. I wanted to show exactly how I do it step by step, leaving nothing out. And I would appreciate it even more that if you like what you see, you click the like and subscribe buttons. Plus, you're going to want to hit that bell so you'll be notified of all future videos, which will include the next step in how I make socks toe up, 2 at a time, on 2 short circular needles, wrap and turn rows. Thanks for watching.